Ladies and gentlemen, this is the state of the scene.
Yo, what the fuck is up, Warped Tour? The state of the scene at SOTS Podcast on all social media. Sam here with Marcos.
This one's for the kids with the beaten in lips, Sam, whose parents try to shut them up using their fists. All right, that ain't right.
Nah.
That's not nice.
Nah, my parents tried that on me once and I killed them. They're dead.
Allegedly dead.
I'm an orphan now. I had the funniest fucking thing happen to me today. So my throat's been bugging me, right? And it's been like 2 weeks now. So I'm like, all right, I'll just like call my doctor and I'll just go have him take a little peek. And then if it's something like worse than like a sore throat, they can tell me. And I went there and they were like, and honestly,
did you like WebMD this shit and in your head? Like,
you mean did I like anxiety attack?
Right.
No, it's just like I've been like drinking tea religiously and like taking sips of cough syrup, thinking this was gonna go away, and it's just kind of like been there. But anyways, they're like, nah, like try this, try that, and it should go away. But anyways, there was one point where the doctor goes to me. She's like, "Do you like do anything with your voice like outside of the ordinary?" And I like paused, like
you
I
can't
freeze.
lie to your doctor.
And she's like, do you sing or anything? And I'm like, I do not sing.
I do talk for like hours at a time.
I had to sit there. I'm like, am I going to explain to my doctor right now that I have a podcast or am I going to be a normal person? And I'm going to be like, I talk a lot. I just like talk like I never shut up. Like that's what I said. Like I didn't know what else to say. You know what I mean?
You said that? You didn't say podcast?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Because then you're gonna
enough?
like fucking explain it. Because then you have to fucking explain. You have to like when you tell someone you have a podcast, you have to do two things. You have to explain it, and then you also have to like apologize.
This is patient doctor privilege, isn't it? Like they can't go out and like in the break room talk about how they like.
No, they say that shit. They say that shit. But like, I feel like the second you leave that room, they walk into the room with all of like the other doctors, and they're like,
"You won't believe the fucking nerd I just
get a load of this fucking loser I just dealt with."
So what did they say? You said like probably too much podcasting and.
Yeah, it was like, you probably need to shut the fuck up a little bit. No, they were like, I don't know, maybe you got like acid reflux. Like, go take some fucking omeprazole and figure it out.
Maybe? Like, why are they giving you like...
I don't know when the last time you went to a doctor is, but doctor's general answer to just about every fucking malady you experience is like, could be this. Who knows? Like, we'll fucking suss it out. We'll figure it out together, homie. Like, all right, my family's dying.
Right.
Thank you.
If it's still there in like 2 days, real bad news. But if it goes away,
literally almost her exact words. It's like, if it's still there in 2 weeks, give me a shout. I'm like, all right, you got it, doc.
Fucking sue these people.
It's the fucking worst, bro. As always, every link you need in the description of this episode, including our socials, playlist, merch, and Discord. Subscribe to us on YouTube at SOTS Podcast YT and leave a thumbs up if you're watching the video version of the podcast. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please leave 5 stars. And if you want to support the show, consider becoming a patron for early access stickers, Discord benefits, producer credits in our video content, and the ability to ask questions on the weekly show.
I don't like that like your voice transformed for that. And granted, like it could be your throat, but
yeah, I gotta like. I'm going to be like all those bands who like they stop screaming and they're like, I just can't do it anymore. You know what I mean? I just going to have like a different voice moving forward. And people are going to be like, oh, podcast was so much better 3 years ago. Just can't stand Sam's voice anymore. No, that's my ad read voice.
I don't like it, for the record.
I just want to double down on this one little thing real quick, just one more time. Patreon.com/SOTS podcast. You can sign up for only $3 a month. And this week, we're going to have a brand new interview up with Boba Khan of Bless the Fall, where we talk about the past, present, future of that band. It's good stuff. We had a lot of fun. So go check that out before everybody else gets to.
Dreams are made of, bro. We sat down with Boba Khan.
We sat down with fucking Boba Khan.
Bless the Fall, band we've been listening to since like 2007.
It is
it's insane.
You talk about this all the time, but you have to have like that moment where like you level set yourself with like All right, I'm gonna talk to someone who I've admired for like literally like
My entire
2/3 of my life.
Right.
Yeah. Or in your instance, since your
Right.
existence.
Shut up. Well, and then like they turn out to be like as awesome as expected, and I don't know. That shit's always a lot of fun. Yeah. So subscribe to the Patreon, $3 a month. Obviously, tons of perks over there, but
So
it is
many
also
perks.
how we fund this show. We do have to get new equipment here and there. And that's we use those funds for those things.
Yeah, little goes a long way, to be honest. Marcos, so I don't know if I have to continuously introduce this segment, but I'm going to do it one last time.
Dated discourse.
Right up here at the top, Marcos. This week's Dated Discourse brought to you by Jeris Johnson, who is going to be in the news a little later on as well with a brand new track. And we'll get to that, and we'll talk about that. But before
Jeris
we
Johnson, the future of rock.
self-proclaimed, correct?
Tattooed on his body. I fuck with the vision.
What is the worst future of you could get tattooed on your body that would be like...
Well, there's a couple.
I want to get like the future of forklift drivers or something. You know what I mean? Just have something that people go like, what's his deal? Like, what's he on? What's he doing on a
Bro,
forklift that I don't do? You know what I mean?
Future of OSHA recordables.
Drifting around corners and shit. Jeris Johnson tweeted this out. Just this last week, by the time you're listening to this fucking show. That's what makes it Dated Discourse. A band in 2023 makes no sense. Solo and duo rock and metal artists are the future. 99% of your favorite bands are just one or two people writing and recording all of the music. The truth is most of them don't have enough star power on their own, so they hide behind the brand of a band. Most people completely missing the point expected. This was the follow-up. Five dudes with guitars is boring, outdated, and overdone. One superstar rock/metal artist is exciting and interesting. Bands struggle to survive because you have to split already insanely low percentages from labels and streaming. You can still collaborate with whoever you want. All of my songs I make with at least a couple of my close friends. Look at the credits on almost any popular rap or pop song. There's usually a bunch of people. And guys, obviously there are amazing bands out there. And I love them as much as you guys. But looking forward, we need a new and better way of doing things in the rock/metal community. A new way that's not so stagnant and stuck in the mud. Marcos, let me get your thoughts right here at the top.
I think like financially, yes, this makes a lot of sense.
Can't argue with that point. Like in any sense, you have to reach a certain status as a band to start having the numbers make sense. Every band has essentially made that point a million times over.
Yes. I'm kind of on the fence with this take because I think that Jeris kind of serves it as something that's like inherently a bad thing, but I think that I don't know, the two examples that jump to mind, Beartooth and Paris. Paris on the onset started off as a trio, and then at some point you lose a member. And then Lynn also just goes out and says like, hey, this has kind of always just been a solo thing. And I just wasn't confident back in the day. I think like there's merit in gaining that confidence and not having it straight away. Paris, when they were first signed to Rise, were like all fresh out of high school. I feel like they're like 18-year-olds, you know? I
think a lot of it too is branding, marketing, sort of how you want people to see you and think about like I think within our scene, within our culture, I think a lot of artists see success labeling themselves as bands and project as opposed to solo artists.
Yeah, I think one of those is Beartooth, where I think Shomo's got some star power, but also I think there's a lot of value in saying, hey, here's the other four guys in this band, but know that they're not writing this material. It's me writing it. It's me recording it. It's all me. But like, see what I mean? And Shoma's been doing that for 10 years at this point.
Yeah. So it's right. So it's not like this is like a novel one-time thing. But what's interesting is that you kind of approach this as a like mystery solve type thing where it's like you get used to a project and then you find out later on. I think maybe what Jeris is saying is that theoretically at the outset you can be a little more forward and be like, hey, Jeris Johnson is essentially
example.
him.
Beartooth has always been that.
But they're called Beartooth, you know what I mean? And I think part of that sort of like unless you go and you read up on Beartooth and you follow up on an interview, you're not aware of that. You just think Beartooth as a band, right? And maybe Caleb Shoma becomes the familiar face that is like never changing, where all the pieces around him might like circle in and out. But you still think of Beartooth as a band. You still think of Paris as a band, because that's how they've like anointed themselves. And I think sort of maybe what Jeris Johnson is positing here is that his band is him. He's not a band. He is a solo artist that essentially employs other musicians when necessary and or collaborates in his songwriting. I just mean like try to
it's
think
an
of
unspoken thing though. I feel like it doesn't make a lot of sense to bring that up as something like.
Do you think that at this point, so let's maybe go back to like the start here of what Jeris was kind of saying. Solo and duo rock and metal artists of the future, a band in 2023 makes no sense. On paper, does that feel
wrong,
right?
No, it's wrong.
Why though?
I think it varies on genre. Like I don't think that you can apply that to every single artist across the board. Like ska, like, you know what I mean? Like random shit like that. So like, sure, if you're going to approach it as rock and metal, then maybe, but maybe not as well. Like I don't really think it's actually that deep, to be honest. And I think it's I don't know. I don't think it's something to get worked up over, I think is ultimately where I land here, where it's like, man, some bands are really transparent about who's doing all the writing and who's not contributing.
I think
like,
that what Jeris Johnson is pushing back on a little bit is something that is generally a problem within.
No, but I just like, just to kind of finalize that thought, like I disagree here, because it would make more sense if this scene wasn't absolutely fucking thriving right now off of the backs of bands like Sleep Token, Bad Omens, Spiritbox, who are all full-fledged bands. You know what I mean? Like,
I understand what you're saying. I think
if the scene was in the gutter right now, doing very poorly, then sure, yes, like it's time to do some reflecting. But right now, like, the scene's never been healthier than right now. In my entire life following all of this music, like, I don't know, like, it feels like we've really hit a point where, like, all of the big artists are actually truly big. And not big in the sense that they're selling out House of Blues, which is what I used to consider huge. Motionless in White, Devil Wears Prada hitting the road together. Oh, yeah, we're going to hit so many House of Blues. Like, the scene's at the tippity top right now. No. Bands like Sleep Token are out headlining massive festivals in the States. Like, that's big to me. We've hit a next level, and it's off of the backs of bands like that.
I think that a little bit, I think, if I'm trying to read between the lines here, is that Jeris Johnson is maybe sort of pushing back on the perception that people have of him in particular in being a solo artist, whereas, because I feel that maybe the rock and metal community generally has negative perceptions about anything that doesn't fit the exact mold of what rock and metal has been since the start, which is why I'll always remember when Foo Fighters won an award like a few years ago, and they went up on stage and Dave Grohl was like, rock, guitar, bass, drums. That's what that is. You know, I sort of think of this in the same way of like the pushback that bands still get for like using a fucking laptop on stage from certain people within the metal community. Yeah. Is that just this idea that anything new and different should be pushed back on and just like, or honestly like pushed out of like this community? Like it just shouldn't be accepted. And I think what Jeris Johnson is kind of coming back and saying is like, similar to what we're kind of seeing like a little bit with pop punk, where we had like faces like Lil Huddy and Jaden and Machine Gun Kelly all come in, and they're essentially just solo artists, but they'll have like a full ass band behind them, you know?
Yeah.
Essentially what Jeris Johnson is saying is that maybe that within the metal and rocking community is a little more exciting than the idea of another 4 guys in a band.
Yeah, in a way.
I think Jeris Johnson has fiery language about the entirety this thought, but I don't think the discourse is hard and heavy on this one, because obviously you can sort of have both coexist. But my guess is that Jeris has probably experienced a lot of pushback of people going, "Oh, TikTok star. Oh, solo art." You know, this kind of like metal community being entirely unaccepting of something that doesn't fit the exact mold of what they've come to expect, which maybe is a little less seen and a little more put into a culture that is sort of like in the periphery of like what we discuss here.
I think ultimately what has to happen then are those gatekeeping fans need to learn to stop doing that, which I know is an impossible task. But I mean, like, I think ultimately where I land is it's not really the band's fault at that point. It's like, it's just this community of people. Like, if Jeris Johnson is getting shit for being a solo artist, I don't think there's any reasoning with the people who are mad about that and not just appreciating the fact that Jeris Johnson writes pretty good songs.
Do you think any part
regardless
of it,
of whether the backing people in his band are part of Jeris Johnson or fucking Jeris and that's the name of the band or whatever? You know what I mean? Like,
do you think any part of this is like a little bit of encouragement to people who are trying to get into music and telling them, hey, it doesn't have to be this set standard of like a metal band does not have to be you and 4 friends from high school. It can just be you. It can just be you and a laptop.
It feels
and like
so
figuring it all
unspoken
out
nowadays. I don't know. Like, I look at a band like Loveless and I'm like, that's 2 guys. And that band's on top of the world right now, you know? Like, I don't think your band has to start with 6 members straight away and then like naturally you become that duo over time.
Marcus is saying the discourse is ice cold this week.
Yeah,
the discourse is absolutely fucking ice
Motionless
cold
and
this
White
week.
also on top of the world. 28 guys in that band.
Moving on, Marcos, patron questions. Nick asks, do you guys think Dark Side by Bring Me the Horizon is the ugliest cover art of the year so far? If not, what do you think is the worst? Do you know what the cover art is for?
I do.
I gotta look at it. You talk for a second.
It looks a little ugly.
Okay.
It's definitely a bit on the ugly side.
Bring Me the Horizon is real. Is not in the mood to hear anything about ugly cover art.
It's kind of like
they've heard enough.
It's like a weird version of like the fucking the EP that they did a couple years ago.
Yep. It actually
it's
is
like
it's not like identical, but yeah, I definitely see what you mean.
It's like it's got the same like kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, like distorted like goblin face or whatever the fuck they're going for.
I think ultimately where I land is I saw that this band had a merch collection out, and boy did my eyes kind of just move pretty quickly from like the actual artwork that was on those like I looked at those shirts and I was like, don't need those.
That's how I've pretty much felt about Ollie Sykes' clothing label Drop Dead for the last few years, is that they're just going for a style that is completely you're big on like
I've bought so much more Drop Dead lately than
fascinating.
Drop Dead is on a fucking tear with some of their stuff. It's not everything. Like occasionally throw this up and throw it up in post, Sam. The fucking the Pussy Hurts shirt or whatever, and it's a bunch of kittens and like the back just says like pussy on it. God awful. And then they have like other shit.
Oh, thank God that ended the way I was expecting it. Or hoping it would.
Bad.
But I feel like I see like a bunch of these shirts. It's fucking like a guy with like devil horns, and it's and like half of them's like the color blue, and the half of them's like the color red, and it is all like distorted. And I'm just
nah, you're looking at a different Drop Dead.
Who's wearing these insane designs? Like
different Drop Dead.
I just feel like this art style does not speak to me. So I'm actually like I'm
Sam,
with Nick
you
here.
can't
I'm like
consume
not
high
into
fashion.
this fucking cover art. I can't. It's like. It's Shibori Threads,
New
the
York Fashion
clothing label of the alternative music scene, bro. High ass fashion right here, baby. Brandon asks, no, you won't state what it is, but do you each feel like you have a gut feeling album of the year as of right now? For me, it's definitely Suicide and Sunshine by Trophy Eyes.
Sam is finishing what Brandon had to say.
That
wasn't you immediately jumping in to say that Trophy Eyes is like
that was closing statement from Brandon. Moving on.
Yes. I think we all do.
Yeah, I think collectively this seed has one that's sort of like unspoken, but also spoken a lot.
Sure. I'm not looking forward to the people that get cute with their album of the year announcements, and it's like, oh, obviously it's Spiritbox, even though it's a fucking EP. if I see any of that fucking stupid shit happening this year,
Yeah.
I'm popping off on
You
people.
gonna pop off on
I'm
people?
gonna pop off. EPs are not albums. Do not put that as your album of the year. I'm just flat. Those are the rules. And I didn't even make them. So don't get mad at me. Those are just the rules. Spiritbox, greatest band of all time. We all know it. That's not your AOTY this year because that is not a fucking album.
Greatest band of all time.
I'm drawing the line in that
Fucking
sand.
Good. Don't get me wrong, but like let's that
Greatest
discussion
Canadian.
another podcast.
Greatest
Like,
Canadians.
goddamn. Evie asks you guys, casually slide in a concert memory here and there, but what are your favorite memories from a show, recent or from when you first started going?
This is a fucking stupid one, but I know that you're gonna love it once we kind of get into it.
Give it to me.
There was like a run for like a year or two where we would go to shows and then in the mosh pit, we would like kind of stand outside the mosh pit for a lot of shows.
This is so funny right now.
Randomly,
Yeah.
there'd be a guy who would at some point take his shirt off,
Yeah.
Pikachu back tattoo,
Pikachu back tattoo.
and
We'll
then
never
he'd go
forget.
insane the rest of the night. And like, you kind of forget what his face looked like, and you'd be at another show and you're kind of taking this mosh pit in, you know, you're seeing like maybe like Moths to Flame, something like that.
Yeah.
And then suddenly out of the corner of your eye, someone starts pulling their shirt up. Pikachu back tattoo. And this dude was at every show for like 20 straight that we went to.
It's so funny when you like see a regular, but you don't have like any context for like you've never spoken to them or anything. You're just like, oh, that's yeah, I see him at shows all the time. You know what I mean? There was another guy I remember who was like, we went to like a couple Motionless and White shows like within a year, and we saw him at like both of them, and it's like this fucking guy with his like fucking platform shoes and shit.
Right, is the kid who would like dress up like Motionless and White.
Full goth attire. Marcus, I actually want to talk about, because I don't think we brought it up on the last show that we went to, but we went and saw Invent Animate recently.
With a Void Division, yeah.
Who I enjoyed quite a bit, but what I actually wanted to talk about was Void Division, who left me absolutely fucking stunned with how good they were. Just like
Void Division fucking rock.
one of the most attention grabbing sets I've had in quite a while.
And they had everything going against them because upstairs Webster Theater is the poorest venue you've ever walked in your life.
It's literally the poorest venue. It's also the warmest somehow as well.
Well, I was going to say like literally the poorest, because you have people in the audience begging, screaming over the bands at times, telling the venue staff to turn the AC on, because you can see them in the corner of your eye just not on.
It was suffocatingly hot. Like we were sweating assholes. It was absolutely
I don't
insane.
get it, bro. That fucking venue sucks. It was hot as dick in there. But the band fucking they just smashed that set.
They fucking smashed that shit. It was absolutely fucking incredible. Void Division was one of these bands where I walked away and I was like, man, I do not appreciate this band enough. Miles asked, last question here from Patreon. Patreon.com/SOTS podcast. $3 a month if you want to submit questions on the weekly show as well. With Ink closing out the Silver Scream 2 story in the news later on, should they make a part 3 or go back to making the type of music they were making before every trick in the book? Marcos, thoughts?
Part fucking 3, baby. Let's wrap this shit the fuck up. Let's go out on a fucking bang. I want them to literally come to my house and kill me to finish this record out.
I want to get
this
into
trilogy out.
I want to get into this more in the news story because we got like the final song from the epic music video.
Yeah, but immediate take. I need the trilogy. We didn't get all the way to Silver Scream 2 just to drop the fucking ball and not do Silver Scream 3.
It's also worth noting that like my adoration from Ice Nine Kills specifically aligned with the drop of every trick in the book. So for me, it's been like nothing but positive. You know, like I've been fucking in love with this band since that album. So like, it's clearly that style that resonates with me the most. So like going back before that, I'm like, all right, you know, Predator, you know, that's not bad. And
keep those books on the shelf. They're not going anywhere. Let's wrap up the fucking greatest trilogy in metalcore history. With all due respect to Alisana. And let's get Silver Scream 3 and let's fucking finish it out.
With all due respect to Alisana and Marcus, let's review some albums.
The Breakdown.
Yeah, starting with The Surface by Beartooth.
How many times have I said I was gonna be someone when I get back onto my feet? Tomorrow I'm gonna make changes day I can barely speak. I know how to pull myself out, and it's gonna hurt like.
This is the Ohio-based Outfit's 5th studio album, released the 13th of October via Red Bull Records, the only Red Bull record album that we review on a consistent basis. Band. The service consists of 11 tracks and is the much anticipated follow-up to 2021's Below LP. A lot of parallels here, Sam. We were once below, and now we are at the surface.
Yeah. We've discussed this like fucking 9 times on the show, but like Caleb Shomo said, like this is a like direct response to that last album. Like this is my positive album. This is me digging out of my hole and finally sort of seeing the light on the other side.
Do you remember Below being a particularly like do you remember that being like the deepest hole Beartooth was in?
Is the deepest hole I was in as a fucking Beartooth fan. I'm gonna be real with all y'all.
Really?
Like it goes for me disgusting, 3 albums that I can barely remember, and finally, bro, we are back. Like fucking Beartooth is so back as fuck right now. It's crazy. There was a man.
I'll let you finish this thought. I do want to mention, like, it is crazy coming into this. I'm like, I hope Sam doesn't want to do the rankings of these Beartooth albums because I can't be bothered.
It's literally okay, not including Surface because I want to talk about it a little bit.
Bottom.
It's disgusting. Everything else, like it's just like the fucking like the difference between in quality is just insane in terms of like my adoration for those albums. Like it's just like Aggressive, I hated. Disease, I fucking really hated. And then Below, it was all right. I enjoyed it at the time.
The last riff.
But yeah, but like the best song on there being an instrument, like the best song on there being like a fucking song where Caleb Shomo doesn't sing is wild because like flip that and like Caleb Shomo woke the fuck up, man. Okay. The first 6 tracks on this album might be one of the cleanest runs in history. I wanted to shut this album off after Sunshine. I was so scared they wouldn't land this fucking album. I was like, this is a perfect memory. If I ended here, I've just listened to the best release of the year.
That was my biggest question mark leading up to this review. Like leading up to us doing this review right now is where you ultimately landed on the Better Me featuring Hardy, which was one of the lead singles off here. A lot of lead singles here.
Grew on me after I hated my first time listening to it, which is so funny.
You and I heard that together for the first time, and we're sitting in the car, and we're just like side-eyeing each other, like, is this shit like? Is the run over?
Right,
is Beartooth
right. Because Might Love Myself, Sunshine, and Riptide are fucking goated ass songs as far as I'm concerned.
And then you get like I think Doubt Me, but I think the Better Me came out before that. And like I just remember the first time it not clicking whatsoever. And I remember even we put it on a second time just to be like, you know, are we out of it? Like, are we losing our minds? It didn't click then. But then you put it on this album, and I'm sitting here like just belting those words back to them.
It felt right. It felt right. So I think we're in agreement that, like, without a doubt, the first 6 tracks on this album are absolutely flawless, and it's like maybe one of the best first halves of a record I've ever heard in my life.
I'm gonna hit you with this. I think the next 5 tracks are all pretty fucking solid too.
All right, here's where I got lost a little bit. Here's where I got lost like maybe a little bit, like maybe a little tiny bit, is literally track 7, which I think is the weakest on this album by far and feels like incredible dip of quality versus everything that came before it. I just think What's Killing You sounds like a song that's better suited for the last couple albums than it is for this album. I would have clean cut it and this album
clean 10
for not a perfect 10, but significantly stronger. I think What's Killing You really just sort of like threw a wrench in the spokes and slows this album down when it didn't need to.
I don't know. I think this album is really well paced. I don't have an issue with like.
I'm talking quality wise. I'm not talking tempo wise.
I'll give it to you that's maybe one of the more forgettable tracks on here, and ultimately on a Beartooth record with very few forgettable songs. Damn, right? Like that's crazy. I'm not going to take too much away from it with that track. The other one I personally wasn't feeling a whole lot was I believe it's the final single off of this record for now. The closing track, I Was Alive, which did get a video. That's out now.
Really? That one didn't click for you?
It didn't. It just fell a little bit flat.
I really like it, even though it's sort of a play on that same "Bring Me the Horizon" lyric. It's
which one?
I'd rather live than live forever. You know what I mean? It's like essentially the same. It's right. Like, I mean, I know every band is sort of essentially, you know, everyone's fighting demons in their head and everyone wants to live instead of live forever.
So on that note, that's actually, I think, one of the biggest appeals to this record, personally, for me, is the subject matter and how Shomo is obviously approaching life with maybe like, looking at things with a different lens and
glass
being
half
much
full.
more appreciative of their situation, and it seems like we've battled a lot of our demons, and you know, the ones we can't do away with we're dealing with, and maybe the other ones we realized weren't so bad, and we're kind of just like living a slightly happier life. Right. Which is as a fan of Shomo, since literally the kid was 15 in Attack back in 2008, like it's good to see that they've kind of found themselves in what appears to be a pretty healthy mental state for a very consistent basis right now. But in the same way that like a lot of their fans used to attach themselves to this band because, like, you know, Shomo is giving a voice to the voiceless and really helping put into words the feelings that I'm feeling, this depression, whatever. I'm sitting here in a similar situation, like very appreciative of just the way that Shomo can communicate what happiness feels like in a way.
Well, let's be fucking real. Like, metalcore has milked that cow dry as fuck. All right.
Sure.
We've got, if you ever need an uplifting album that speaks directly to the experience you're having in terms of like depression or anxiety or hard times in life, what fucking 10 years of metalcore albums.
I was gonna say,
like, you got options for the entirety of your fucking life. All right.
Architects and Bring Me dropped like two of the greatest of all time, and every other band unnecessary at that point.
It's and like, listen, we're also still getting those albums from a lot of bands right now as well. But hey, alternatively, somebody's actually feeling okay for once, and they're kind of like doing a very good job of like verbalizing
it's
that.
Refreshing, yes. And that is one of my favorite parts about this, just how well verbalized all of this feels. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I sit throughout the entirety of this record, and I kind of walk away happier myself.
But you know what? There are other bits and pieces of that like play into it. And I think that it's not just that Shomo sounds happy. It's that this record is a lot more fun. Like, it's a lot sillier. Like, there's a line in here where he's like, hit it with a riff. And it's just like, it's dumb, but it works so well.
There's 40 of those, which is what's hilarious is that Shomo has like essentially done away with mosh calls. Like, there's a couple in here, and we've instead pivoted towards what are essentially Beartooth producer tags, which is like before a riff hits, before the beat drops, every song, like in the first 15 seconds, Shomo's like, come on him, and the fucking riff explodes. And it's like, yo, hit him with that shit, boy, and the fucking riff. And it's fucking nuts. There's 7 of those.
It just flat works. And you know what I think? The more I listen to this album, the more I thought that it felt less like a Beartooth album and more like in a Day to Remember album, where it just feels a lot more fun to me. Like, there's just a completely different energy to it.
A little bit. Definitely a little bit. How did you feel about... So there's two very clear sonic differences on this record. The Better Me featuring Hardy, which we discussed a little bit earlier.
Right,
Hardy is
a little bit country
singer, so adds a little bit of
rock and roll.
Adds a little bit of that country spice. I like that, how that's blended into this record. I think ultimately I walk away really enjoying that song, unexpectedly so. And then you also get My New Reality, which for me is a real standout personally, and it's funny because I've already seen some pushback on that track, where Shomo's like channeling his inner Post Malone on the verses, and like we got like a little bit of swagger, and I don't know, this sexy version of Shomo like mentally, I'm fucking with
It's
it.
just crazy how much of a mark we are when the white boy spits a little bit. You know what I mean?
Bro,
Because when Sleep Token did it, you and I were like fucking standing on the couch earlier this year, and now when Beartooth does it, we're like, damn, bro, these Medical Boys is on this other, bro.
Most insane misheard lyric of the year on this record, by the way, on that track, My New Reality,
Fucks me up. I think we need to rewrite it.
where it's you almost hear the line "bloodstains on my stainless."
Bro, I
almost
thought
crashed
it was
my
straight-
fucking car.
I thought like a fucking Chase Atlantic feature or something. It was absolutely wild. Granted, it's not exactly.
It's not that.
It's not exactly that. But I think this is one of those cases where the misheard lyric's stronger than the actual lyric.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say in terms of sonic differences, the sort of like acoustic track on here, like not acoustic, but obviously like your ballad is maybe the most dramatically different.
Maybe sonic's not like the best way to phrase it, but like there's two songs that are clearly not the same genre.
Different, stylistically different. We're talking
Sure.
sonically different, though. I did like it when Beartooth slowed it down a little bit.
Definitely. Well, and I like the fake out on Sunshine is still goated. Like that whole acoustic bit where it hits the chorus and that first bit's acoustic is so fucking brilliant.
If we're talking goated, by the way, I know music is subjective, but anyone who tells me Riptide is one of the best songs they've ever heard in their life, I don't like, what's wrong with you?
We still haven't
Are you not
given,
listening right? Like, what the fuck is the matter?
We haven't given that song still to this day the appropriate amount of flowers that it deserves.
I'm pretty sure that was like our song of the year last year. Like, I'm pretty sure it ran away with it.
Legitimately fucking insane track. So happy I made this record.
Fucking incredible. It's absolutely fucking incredible. I really enjoyed this album. Like overall, I just fucking really enjoyed this album. And like that is, it's man. I'm just like, I'm gonna be real. Like I just found myself getting bored with the last few Beartooth albums. Like they'd have like moments where I'd be like, this is pretty good, like a song here or a song there. But overall, I'd walk away from them and be like, yeah, it's not disgusting. That's for goddamn sure. It's just not. It's not fucking clicking the way that album did. And finally, a Beartooth album is clicked like that fucking debut did.
You would put it down and you would walk away from it and you would never come back. I don't see myself doing that with this record. I'm sitting here thinking to myself how much I'm looking forward to spinning this record again. And I haven't said that about Beartooth album, maybe ever, with full transparency.
I also feel like I've a little bit been waiting for an album like this all year. This is kind of like last year's Techno or Scoring the End of the World, where it was just
that
like
fun for you, huh?
It's fun. Yeah, I just have like I'm really enjoying myself listening to that album.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, honestly, this is a 5 for me.
That's
I really enjoyed every single song on here, even though a couple are a little bit, on the forgettable side. I'm not.
All right, listen. This is a 4 for me.
Okay, then that's fine.
It's a 5 within the Beartooth catalog, but it's a 4 because the fucked up thing is that I heard a 5 this week. And I think it's better than this album, and that's kind of where my head's at.
All right,
do you feel me? Do you feel where I'm coming from?
I'm not feeling particularly stingy with the 5s though myself.
You know what? And that's funny because usually you're pretty
week.
fucking stingy with the 5s.
Stingy with the 5s.
Speaking of 5s, what did we? Well, not saying I'm giving this next album a 5, but like you get it. You get the transition.
Volume 5, The Hurt Collection by Victims. This is the Chicago Outfit's 5th studio album, released the 13th of October. The Hurt Collection consists of 11 tracks and is the much anticipated follow-up to 2021's, you guessed it, Volume 4, Numb to the Ache LP.
This is going to sound crazy, but we're reviewing like 3 albums this week. All 3 of them dropped today, October 13th. I'm actually surprised there aren't more albums that dropped today that we really had to like struggle to figure out what to review. Like I know there are more albums that drop, but it just feels like this is one of those like calendar dates that you got to think everyone's looking at like, okay, yeah, well, this is the day we drop the album.
So it is funny. Like obviously Creeper, who we reviewed last week, early dropped today,
and they made a lot of sense.
And that band was certainly going to intentionally find a way to drop something on a Friday, the 13th in October. Ice Nine Kills weren't due for the album, but damn, like bless their little hearts, did they go out of their way to drop it on the 13th?
Right.
So I don't know, a lot more singles than albums, I guess.
It almost feels like it would have been a little more explosive, like because it's not like Friday the 13th came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like it's fucking dead set in the middle of October. Everybody had to sit there and eye that and be like, "Do we drop the single today?" Like, I mean, it's the fucking, or do we got to get out of the way of Bring Me the Horizon? You know what I mean?
This is the first, like 2021's Volume 4 is the first time it's felt like 2021 was a while ago.
That is funny that you say that. It does feel a little bit like that. I don't know why.
I don't know, because I also like there are other albums that released in 2021 and I'm like, wow, that was yesterday. This one is like, I don't know, I'm looking here and I'm like, Numb to the Egg. I had a really good time with that. It's been ages since I spent any time with Victims.
Yeah,
though.
I was like, damn, girl, where you been?
Sure.
We're talking about concert memories. You know, it's funny. We were trying to figure out what to review this week, and it's like it was like a toss up with another album that comes out next week. Knuckle Puck. And we're like, you know, we could get ahead of that one. We could do that, and I'm like, you know what? There's just it's so ingrained in my memory that one time we saw Victims play on that Cane Hill headliner, and how fucking incredible it was. Like I was just like fucking blown. Like it made
fucking sick.
Such an impression on me that when I saw this on the calendar, I'm like, man, I don't want to miss my chance to review this. I just don't. Like this feels like an album from a band that's a little smaller that could get lost in the shuffle, and I don't want it to. This band just feels like they earned me checking this album out this week. It's like totally. I can't let it pass me by.
I imagine you had a pretty good time with this one.
I fucking enjoyed this. I mean, like at the end of the day, I don't think Victims is doing anything that like dramatically sets them apart from the pack in terms of like metalcore bands, but I think they have a real consistency and a real hunger that shines through on this album. And the fact that we so very rarely take a minute to breathe through the entire duration of this record, it's just like I just respect the fucking energy they put into this. There's just something. This is all right. Listen, it's like if you went into Beartooth and you're like, man, I don't know, it could have been a little fucking. It was like, man, I remember when this band was a little heavier.
Right, that could have beat my ass a little harder.
Yeah, I was like, it could have been a little fucking nastier, a little fucking grosser. Yeah. Like Victims is all of those things. Like it is the fucking like just like ground down to exactly fucking heavy breakdowns, angry call outs, fucking nasty fucking mosh. Like it is just fucking heavy shit.
It does everything
from nearly
right.
start to finish.
It does everything right. Talk about like heaviest music you heard all year. Like
it's not quite there. Like it's not quite there.
I know that.
It's not quite that.
Like, bro, you're looking for like something heavy, metalcore, whatever. I'm giving you the Duality of Suffering.
It is Duality, yes.
Featuring Taylor Barber, who anything they do, I'm just obsessed with at this point.
Yeah.
Anything they contribute to, whatever.
Yeah.
The Duality of Suffering is up there with top 10 fucking metalcore songs I've heard all year long.
Okay, bet.
It is insane what they do on that track.
Okay.
That is like distilled, like Victims distilled down to one little track. It's that one. It's a must hear. It's the must hear song off this album. I didn't pay too much attention to its release. I don't know what was a single, what wasn't. I look at like the features on here. You have Kaylee Wolf, you got Cane Hill, John Doe 87, who I'm not familiar with, I don't think. And granted, all those could have been singles. I'm not sure what was, what wasn't. Duality of Suffering, if it wasn't, whatever, go check it out. Must hear track on this record.
And I'm gonna come at you with this. Hey, I'm not sure if this was a single or not either, bro, but I'm gonna come at you and I'm gonna say Feed the Vice was that fucking song for me. There is something about when this band just picks up the pace, like just fucking a notch, like just a little bit. They remind me a lot of Make Them Suffer, where it's just like the second Make Them Suffer decides like this song's gonna be a little faster than all the other songs. Somehow it's just like significantly better with just like that one singular little tweak.
This band, all like them and Make Them Suffer, do have that one gear that they don't frequently use,
right?
But
when they shift, bro, it's insane,
nuts. Is this band a lot more nu metal and than they're more new metal than I remember. How about for you?
It's like sometimes it's just in little things, you know. It's like we're gonna scratch the record a little bit.
They scratch it for
one.
40 seconds on a song.
It's like there's a little bit of like new metal in the sense that like sometimes like, you know, Code Orange felt a little new metal on that last album, like in terms of like new metal heavy, the same way that Left to Suffer felt like a little new metal. It's like a brush strokes of new metal, not like full-fledged, you know what I mean? One thing that I really enjoy that this album does is their transitions, where the end of a song will essentially start like the last 15 to 20 seconds of a song will essentially be the start of the next song. It'll transition very sort of like elegantly into that next track. Like they do it very well, and they do it a lot on this album.
That's legitimately one of my favorite things that I always look for in records.
It's care, right? It's just shows that there's a certain level of care that's been put into this record. That's not just, hey, we slapped 10 tracks together that felt like they all sort of shared the same vibe.
Right. And alternatively, like, this is not just 10 singles mashed together into an album. Like you said, a lot of care poured into this one, a lot of like thought going into it, you know, and I think that pays off. And I think it pays off here, certainly. Man, let's talk about Kaylee Wolf.
Man, it just feels like I still can't get enough of Kaylee Wolf, the vocalist of Rivals. Yes. Is just an artist who's I still can't get enough of.
Those vocals go insane on that track.
It's just like it's one of these voices where it's just like it's so fucking perfect, and it adds so much value to this track in particular that as soon as Kaylee comes in, it just like elevates it. It just takes it up. Overall, I really had a good time with this. I think maybe there is still an opportunity to, I don't know if Victims have that song yet for me, you know what I mean? We talk about this a lot.
I get real fucking close on this one, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's just like, but I don't, I look at that, like I look at the Beartooth album that we just talked about, and I'm like, Riptide is band defining for me, you know what I mean? And Beartooth has had a few of those songs, like good on that. Granted, the first three were off their like debut record, but like, it still feel like I don't know exactly what that song is for Victims, but overall, like the overall experience of this record, I think is really strong. This is probably like a hard 3.5 for me, where I had a really good time. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a strong metalcore record. I still think that Victims has more room to grow.
I think I'm committed to not being stingy this episode. I'm gonna give it a 4. Okay. It's a light 4.
Hey, just if you're enjoying shit, don't apologize for enjoying shit.
I enjoyed this one a fair bit. Go check out Victims, Volume 5, The Hurt Collection. Last but not least, we also listened to Ready to Eat by Beauty School Dropout. This is the LA-based outfit's second studio album, released the 13th of October.
I get heart palpitations when I think of you naked. She said, maybe in another life, what a beautiful waste of time. What a beautiful waste of time.
Versus via Versewire, which we will get to.
We'll get to.
Ready to Eat consists of 9 tracks and is the much anticipated follow-up to last year's debut LP, We Made Plans and God Laughed. And before we move forward with this review, I forgot I already fucked with this band a lot.
That is so funny. That is so fucking funny.
So I think they have a track that is literally just the title track off that LP I fucking could not put down all of last year or like whenever it came out. And it just did not register in my brain that this was Beauty School Dropout.
It's so funny.
So yeah, that hit like my release radar at some point, and I just couldn't put it down. And also a couple of things. Really lost track of time with this band. I could have sworn like that Mark Hoppus, Pete Wentz introduction to these guys video dropped this year, not last year. I guess I did not realize that they were already on their sophomore record. Granted, it's only been a year.
I entirely forgot that we got the sort of, is this a label, I guess, from Pete Wentz and Mark. Pete Wentz, bro, a second he gets bored, he
So
starts a fucking
Versewire.
music label.
Launched somewhat in part by Mark Hoppus, Blink 182.
Yeah.
This is a label of sorts, and their approach is Shark Tank, essentially, is how it's been described. That's a long-running TV show where the people, billionaires, make custom investments into both new and established things, and in this case it would be axe bands, depending on their needs, while also working directly with these partners as an incubator to dial in everything from distribution, sponsorships, artist development, and Web 3.0 strategy. Over my head, whatever the fuck that means.
I think that means
we
NFTs.
probably need it.
I think it means NFTs. Question here. I know you said it's like in comparison to like Shark Tank in terms of how they're built, but there isn't actually, like, if I go on
It's
YouTube,
essentially a label.
Yeah, but if I go
Sort
on
of.
YouTube, I'm not going to see a show where like Beauty School Dropout had to pitch themselves to
I
like Mark
do not
Hoppus and
think
Pete
so.
Wentz at a chair, right?
I do not think so. I think this is more like, I don't. So Pete Wentz, also a strategic advisor.
Pete Wentz, picture yourself a scene podcast. Okay, brace yourself. I flip over a whiteboard. It's just got like podcast circled, and then like a picture of like Fall Out Boy.
It's just an arrow that goes to question marks, and then another arrow that's money signs.
Precisely. Pop hug equal dollars.
So the whole thing with the Versewire is that they find a way to just eliminate like debt for artists. Curious how this has panned out. I think Beauty School Dropout is very clearly one of the first artists part of this label, and secondly, with all that in mind, clearly have a lot of people in their corner and pulling for them. And honestly, after listening to this record in full, I fucking get it. In my opinion, this is absolutely one of the next big things.
Yeah, like if you walked, like I'm sitting in my Shark Tank chair, you know, sipping a Sprite or something, right? And like Beauty School
Naturally.
Dropout walks in and like, hey, and they just hit play, and it's dying to be you, and I'm just like just fucking
They're not
throwing dollars, like fucking
strippers.
throwing $100,
Right.
like
Oh,
$1,000 bills at
All
them,
right.
bro. Suitcases full of money at them. Spend it. Do whatever you need to do. Matt is incredible. It's perfect. It's everything.
This band fucking rules. And I guess I sort of knew that heading into it, but by the time I finished Ready to Eat, I just didn't realize how much I was going to walk away loving this artist.
What are all the talk to me? What are all the reasons why you love this
It's a
artist?
little bit of everything. There's a lot of like,
Why do you love this album? Give it to me.
there's a lot of just like palpable confidence, and then I also just like the flat out variety in music we get. So like, you know, in theory this is a rock band, but we do a ton of like pop things, and sometimes we blur the lines a little bit, and we're kind of screaming with a little bit of our delivery that's not always there. But then you also have like some real like electronic moments. Blow My High's got just a lot of like, you know,
Right, like it's a little,
synthy
like we get a little
parts
synthy and we
and-
do like a little vocalizer shit, and there's a lot of like, for this, to me personally, it reminds me a lot of like what sort of the emo hip hop like bedroom pop type bands do.
It's a little bit of that mixed with like someone like The Neighborhood for sure,
Right, mixed with the neighborhood,
especially
mixed
aesthetically.
with like, you know, man, there are moments on here where I almost think of like 100 Gex too, because there's just like a certain level of energy and then like a certain level of like silliness to it, and it never goes full frog on the floor at any point. It doesn't even come close. But there's
No.
something about like the attitude where it doesn't feel serious. It always feels fun. And then I think another big part of it, and this, you know, is maybe brought on by the fact that I saw Jaden Hostler as a feature, where I think
we
to myself,
pause?
there's a little.
I hate that we've pivoted from Jaden. Just the
This is a sticking point for you.
JXDN fucking thing. That was fun.
You were married
Yeah.
to the whole Jaden
You know
thing.
what? And I'm gonna put my foot down. I really like the Jaden thing, and now we're Jaden Hostler, and it's like, man, who the fuck are you?
Doesn't get the same vibe. You're right. It
No,
doesn't
not
flow
at all.
off the tongue
No.
the same way. You know
I don't
what
like
I mean?
it.
I think like what I'm trying to say is that you get a lot of sort of that mall pop punk brought into this as well, and it's just like,
that's
you're
all
right.
over
It
this.
feels just like this amalgamation of all these like different styles, just sort of like shoved into this one album, and all of it with this real like tongue-in-cheek sort of delivery. Like
that attitude for sure. Like you mentioned that.
the attitude is like 99% of it. It's almost like what entirely sells me on this project is that it's a little silly, it's a little fun, and it never takes itself like far too seriously.
And that's also why I can see people like Pete Wentz and Mark Hoppus investing in something like this, where it's like, man, they fucking see themselves in this band. That's what's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just have a lot of that carefree attitude for the most part that like Blink especially had back in the day and even now. I don't know. Like
You just see like a band walking into the Shark Tank studio in a suit, and Pete Wentz is like, just fucking get that. I ain't got time for this shit. Too serious already.
Man, at the end of the day, what this record is just, it's chock full of some of the most memorable melodies and like just choruses in general across the board.
This band can't do
all
anything
year long
without fucking creating one of the biggest hooks you've ever heard in your whole goddamn life. Like, it's just like every single fucking song is just this fucking hook-ridden fucking melody injected. Like, it's just like this band can't sing a single verse without you being like, fuck, this is good ass catchy
insane.
shit. Every single fucking line just hits.
And it's impressive too when you just consider the fact that this is like one of the leanest records of the year. Like it's 23 minutes and it's out.
They trimmed the fat off of this, so they trimmed
There's
every fucking like, inch
nothing.
of fucking fat off of this one. This is fucking one of the cleanest outings I've heard all year, down to like the intro outro too. So the intro is just kind of like, hey, boy, we in our feels right now, and then it just like says like the album title is like ready to eat, and then we do that, and then like the closer does this super dope thing where it just kind of like calls out like the
I'm a sucker for it.
yeah, it calls out like the titles of all like the songs and uses that as sort of like it creates a song of its own, or like kind of like this like poem.
Yeah, it's like a spoken word thing. Like this band's based out of LA. I do not think that any of them are British, but that is the person who closes out this track. They're speaking very British like and talking about how, you know, you never blew my high and called me a freak or anything like that. So it's just referring to all of the title tracks on here. And again, it ends by just saying like fuck you or something, and it's like I just sort of love how like breezy this whole thing is and how little this band seems to care.
It's cheeky,
but like that's also mentioning the fact that like there's so much attention to detail here. They clearly care about their craft, but like I do love that carefree attitude in general.
This is one of the best albums I've heard all year. This is a fucking hard fight. This is a fucking stamp of approval. Amazing fucking top of the fucking catchiest shit I've ever. Can't wait to listen to it again.
Fucking
Amazing
rocks.
ass fucking album. It's just so good from start to finish. Like you cannot. You
Granted,
cannot,
this is so far up you and I's alley.
Nah, but if you're
can see
listening to the
this
show and you
maybe-
take my fucking opinion seriously on anything, go check out this album immediately. Like, absolutely fucking make it a priority to go listen to this record. You cannot throw a stone without hitting one of the fucking catchiest songs you've heard in your whole goddamn
Very
life.
true.
Like, literally, like, it's not even a point in just sitting here and naming any of them because it's literally the album in its entirety. I can sing the chorus for One Night Stand to You. I can sing the chorus for Heart of Gold. I can sing the chorus for Blow My High. I can sing the chorus. Like, it's just fucking do this all goddamn day. Insane. Incredible. Fucking beautiful.
It's 5 for me as well.
All right.
For a lot of the same reasons.
Good.
You want to move on to news?
Yeah, let's do it.
The news.
The news, as always, brought to you by Shibori fucking Threads, the clothing label of the alternative music scene, baby. Waterparks have released new single Sneaking Out of Heaven and tacked the track onto their most recent album, Intellectual Property, which released earlier this year on Fueled by Ramen.
Do you think God knows you've been sneaking out of heaven like one? His eyes closed, 'cause there's no way he's just letting you fall from the stars and get in my car.
Their debut for the label. In addition to their upcoming slot on this year's When We Were Young Fest, the band announced a 2024 headlining tour with support from Loveless, the Sneaking Out of Heaven tour. Marcus, that's a lot to take in. There was also a very beautifully directed, filmed, vibrant music video attached to this track as well. Give me your thoughts on all of it.
I forgot When We Were Young was happening this year.
It's just because so a side story. We got the lineup for next year's Sick New World. Sick New World. And what we're learning now is that essentially we have taken all of the metalcore bands that played When We Were Young Fest in 2022, and we've now cordoned them off and added them to this completely different fest. And what we have with When We Were Young is something that's significantly more pop punk and emo.
What we have is a way to ensure that all of these bands play Las Vegas once a year.
Right, but
regardless of which fest they are headlining.
But obviously, because we're big, like Bring Me Bad Omen, Sleep Token, Spiritbox, Ice Nine Kills, Motionless, and White Stands.
Bring Me Baddies.
When you we're Bring Me Baddies. We're
episode title right there.
We're
baby.
baddies.
Don't overthink it.
We've essentially taken bands that you and I consider like the fucking like top of the top live bands to see, right? Like, because we're metalcore boys at heart. Even though I gave a 5 to Beauty School Dropout and a 4 to Beartooth, I do have some amount of rage, and I love Waterparks. You look at that lineup and you're like, man, Green Day and Blink-182 don't. I mean, also it's like Green Day and Blink-182 aren't quite Paramore by Chemical Romance to me. No. Like also. But all that being said, Margos, let's go back to what we were talking about to begin with here. There's a lot of things that interest me here. They added this song to intellectual property, and just like they weren't like intellectual property, which part of me still thinks we are getting that, and that's like this is them like soft launching that exact thing.
My follow up here was going to be whether or not they added anything else, so it sounds like this was the only thing added.
It is. And I like the way that they just like DLC bonus this shit right on the end of it.
It's a little
just
fun.
Like, hey, the story wasn't over. Like, you want the real ending? Like, now it's on Spotify. But part of me is also like, well, everybody who owns like a vinyl or a CD like doesn't have this song on it, so it does feel like a deluxe version of this is almost like inevitable, right? Mm-hmm. Also, because every fucking band in the universe is dropping deluxe versions of their albums right now, so it's just like inevitable for every single release you hear. Period. The video for and like Waterparks does not fuck around with their videos, but the video for this just like, so first we get, and we got this earlier this year at a festival, I can't remember which one, but we get like the like Austin's new look, right? Which is this like
green cross eye makeup,
right? Carhartt leather work jacket, like fucking the headphones for like heavy machinery.
It's a fun look. It's
one of those looks where it's like you look at it and you're like, I can't pull this off, but like, goddamn, I wish that I could. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of that all the time with every music video I watch. But this is a good example of one where it's like you don't even think about it and you're just like, damn, the fucking construction.
Better him than me.
The construction look actually goes really hard. Right. Like Austin said, I see your Carhartt beanie and sweater and I raise you the full line, right?
And then you go put that same thing on and you look like you're ready for your shift at the warehouse. Yeah.
Precisely. And we're still doing that thing in Waterparks videos where it's like we like cut out like 3 frames in between everyone. So every person in the video moves at like this weird sort of like choppy motion and it works very well. And just overall, I just like fucking, they're a fun, Waterparks are a fucking incredibly fun band to watch. Like the visual aesthetic is so important to everything they do, right?
And they bring that on the road with them. You can watch them live even, Sam, with
you can
Loveless.
Waterparks has actually promised that this is going to be like, Austin essentially said we're going to be the fucking Taylor Swift of seed bands by the time you see this fucking live show, which has gotten me hyped, right?
Yeah.
And then
is Taylor Swift that well known for like the stage production?
Is Taylor Swift that well known?
Listen,
is Taylor Swift that well known for the stage production?
For the stage production?
Yeah, turns out Taylor Swift is more than just Travis Kelce's girlfriend, bro. Actually,
I see anything
turns out Taylor Swift is actually a pretty incredible musical performer.
It's
an
like
artist.
She's dancing kind of funny, and people are like, "Oh, that's so likable."
All right, so this is where you sort of out yourself as like a
or
fake bitch, right?
What happens is like someone will post a video to Twitter, and she's got like her acoustic guitar out she's wearing like a fancy dress, but like I'm not seeing any crazy fucking visuals happening.
This is how you can tell that Marcus has only ever been to 1,000 emo shows where they have two scribs set up to the left and right of the band. Because when you go to like actual like fucking like real art, like fucking like major like fucking big money artists, like
I know that you slipped and almost said real artists,
but like real actual
fucking
performers,
dick.
not like these fucking fake losers that we talk about on the show every week. Like when you start to get into real artists like Taylor Swift and you see their production, yeah, fucking they drive cars out on stage and shit. Like it's insane, bro. It's wild what they
What kind
do.
of car? What kind of car?
The fucking like Corvettes and shit, like red cars that go fast, bro. Red cars that go fast. Bro, it's insane. Bro, you couldn't even fucking imagine the shit that happens at a fucking Taylor Swift show.
up.
And that's what we have to look forward to on this water park show. Love the support from Worthless, by the way. That's an absolutely fucking fantastic support grab.
Awesome support and only support so far,
Yeah, only support named.
which is kind of crazy. I don't know. Like I look at a 2-band bill now and I'm like, where are the asterisks? Where are the pound signs?
Yeah, but you also look at the 2-band bill and you're like, oh, what a gift. What a fucking gift.
100%.
This is another quirky ass fucking water park song. I think it fits perfectly on the record. Spiritbox have released new single Cellar Door. Off of upcoming new EP, The Fear of Fear, which drops November 3rd on Rise Records. This is the third single off of that EP, following Jaded and The Void. Did you like it?
I think this is my favorite of the bunch. I think. Jaded, like I'm still sort of back and forth on. The Void was good. Void was fucking solid.
I think Jaded is actually my favorite.
Really?
Funny enough.
Wait, The Void was the first one released.
Void was the first one.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Jaded better.
Jaded actually incredible.
I think Cellar Door even better than
What
those.
is it about Cellar Door that spoke to you? Is it what
I don't
spoke
know,
to
man.
the fucking core
They're
music
the
fan and everyone?
They're the metalcore Waterparks. Like visually, this band is always fucking operating at a level only Waterparks are familiar with.
Okay.
Like aesthetically, visually, I don't know. Their music videos go off.
The
I really
Waterparks of metalcore is just such a fucking. I can't
Shut
wrap
the
my
fuck
mind
up.
around that statement.
Shut the fuck up.
The
over there.
Waterparks of metalcore is just like literally
Yeah,
my
it's
brain
a question you'd ask
is
during an interview.
leaking
Shut
out
the
of my
fuck up
fucking
over
ear
there.
right now. I don't know what to do. I just feel like I feel like I'm having the same reaction like if my parents told me I was adopted. I was like, what? What do you mean? We look the same. I have your eyes.
I don't know. Like I think visually, visually awesome video, cool effect where they have. Are you done? I want to go home, bro. It's fucking midnight.
Shut up. You'll go home when I say you can. Record. Speak words. Keep going.
All right. Okay. Fuck you. No. Hard Line in the Sand. Best song so far off this EP. Really excited for The Fear of Fear. I think this video is kind of awesome. I think it's probably my favorite Spiritbox video since Circle With Me. Maybe. I don't remember like the video for the Red Era being that insane.
The Waterparks of fucking metal.
I don't know. We'll see. Bring me the horizon.
Is it not? Shut the fuck up. We're not done yet. Hold on. So there's some things we need to talk about. You pointed this out, but I think it needs to be reiterated 1,000 times over that Courtney LaPlante is the fucking queen of apathetic delivery. It never gets old. I will never tire of Courtney in a video completely uninterested in everything that she's singing about.
And when I'm
Works
saying
so well.
Austin Knight, the king of apathetic delivery, doing
Right.
that all over the new Waterparks video.
Holy shit, are Waterparks the Spiritbox?
Are
of
they
pop
the
punk?
same band? Have they ever been in the same room together?
A feature like that would go insane to me if Waterparks was just like Courtney LaPlante is on this next song.
It would go nuts. It would go crazy.
Other thing, it's insane to get that apathetic delivery and then alternatively have one moment in this video where Courtney Hulk smashes the ground. Just the dichotomy, the difference in energy between the
Videos,
two.
honestly, have been so crazy this year that I saw Courtney do that and I didn't even flinch based on all the insane shit that's like videos. Just these things just happen in videos now. And like, I'm not saying like this has lost its like edge a little bit, but like I see that and I'm like, yeah, that's a metalcore
Right,
video.
you're saying crawling through the wreckage of a post-apocalyptic planet and smashing the ground at any point is something that you just sort of like
par for the course, baby.
gloss over.
Not even. I loved the fucking crawling through the fucking.
Well, they do this other thing where they
dystopian
like
wire
triple up
trash.
every member of the band in like
Literally.
a super yeah. So it's like you're seeing 3 of them every time. It's a super fucking insanely cool visual effect. Like whoever does Spiritbox's shit just like is so good at making these videos insanely watchable. Never mind that they get to work with Spiritbox, who's already a pretty watchable band. And man, the fits in this also go insane. Like I wish I could wear a leather jacket with fucking like 29,000 studded little fucking
You could.
things all over, like yeah, but like look like Spiritbox does, impossible.
So far, Sam can't wear a Carhartt jacket or a studded leather jacket.
I'm not saying I
this
couldn't. I'm
episode.
not saying I couldn't wear the fucking Carhartt jacket. I could, but like the full fit with the fucking and the like the ear things and like the and the hat that says fucking retiree.
Bring Me
or
the
whatever
Horizon
fuck
have
it says.
released new single Dark Side.
Don't give a fuck if my heart stops beating. Hey, I'm begging you to stay. My dark side wants you dead. My heart keeps breaking over and over.
Off upcoming new album Posthuman Next Gen. Release dates yet unknown, still unknown. The track features the line "Don't give a fuck if my heart stops beating," which was popularized off the track "Last Resort" by Papa Roach.
Right, like stop me if you've heard this line before. Okay, so this is the 4th single, presumably, because this band,
we don't have
this
the
band
track
hasn't
listing
even
yet.
fucking. This band delayed the whole last album so they could figure out the track listing. Is so fucking funny to me.
Amen, Strangers, Die for You. What else am I forgetting? This one.
Werewolf. Wait, is that a song?
That's the Lil Uzi
No,
song.
that's a Lil Uzi featuring Ollie Sykes. God damn
Amen.
it. God damn it. Amen is the other one, vice
and
versa.
this one?
And then this was that 4?
5.
5?
Gotta do this again. I'm gonna catch my breath. Okay. Strangers, Die for You. Amen. This one. What's 5?
What'd you forget? Now you forgot one. Okay, hold on. Let's take it from the top. Amen. Strangers.
Yes.
Die for You.
Yes.
Is there another heavy one? I feel like we're missing a heavy one. Oh, what's the one where his fucking brain explodes and he's in Lost? Is that what it's called?
Lost.
Lost. My favorite, including this, my favorite of the 5 singles so far. How do you feel about Dark Side? I'm gonna be honest with you. This one's sort of like, bounced off of me a little bit.
I don't know. This one's a shorter one for sure.
Yeah, it's like 2 minutes, 45 seconds.
Even shorter than that, I think.
It's 2 minutes, 44 seconds.
We did not get the official video with this one yet. Cool little visualizer. I'm not going to take that away from the band. It's like a lot of like old mid 2000s like window browser pop-ups and stuff like that. Just very visually cool, like whatever aesthetic they're aiming for here. I really did appreciate and enjoy. Not as cool as seeing a full-fledged video out of this band like it is when we get Amen and Lost, of course. But
I'm just gonna be honest. I kind of feel like this song just feels like sort of an afterthought after the last like couple of singles. It just feels like it doesn't hold its weight compared to those last couple. Like the excitement and the hype I have for those tracks, and the fact that they have like these big stunning visuals attached to them, at the very least Lost did. And then I get this track, and I'm just sort of like, yeah, I could have saved it for the album.
Well, at this point, it's just. I don't know what the album looks like.
What are we
now.
looking for, though? Like, what are we looking for at this point?
know.
Are we just dropping songs to drop songs? Because I feel like we're not doing that. Like, we're definitely not doing that, right?
Honestly,
but like,
I do think that this song's at a level where I think comfortably most of the material on this new record is going to be better than the last record.
bring me in general. Well, I don't know. I really like that last record. For
It
what
was
it's
pretty
worth.
fucking good.
I mean, Bring Me in general, high floor, right? Like the Bring Me's worst song is still like the best song on most bands' albums, right? So like Dark Side is not bad. I just mean like
Dark Side, best song of the week, by the way.
All right, here's my conspiracy theory.
Okay.
I kind of feel like Bring Me the Horizon is waiting for a song to pop off the way they expect it to, and they keep throwing out these singles and none of them are hitting the way they should. Like big hitting. I'm talking Can You Feel My Heart hitting. I'm talking Throne hitting, right? They're just not quite hitting. So they keep fucking trickling them out so that when one of them really fucking takes off, they can be like, and this is when the album's dropping. We nailed it. Right? Because like, go back to like what Ollie Sykes said. He's like, man, every song is like a special occasion.
It's like 3 years ago now.
It's very special. And it's like, I want every song to matter a ton. And it's just like, I feel like I keep hearing, like, it's insane to me that Strangers wasn't massive because it just feels like the hook on that song is insane. It's crazy to me that Lost isn't massive because it just feels like that's like one of the funnest songs that band has ever written.
So pause. For what it's worth, Lost right now is sitting at a fairly impressive 53 mil on Spotify.
What's the biggest Bring Me song sitting at?
Can You Feel My Heart? 560. I don't know if this band was prepared to drop another 500. You know, like,
but I just mean that like at some point, like maybe excuse the Spotify numbers. Like at some point, I think this band needs a song to like trend in just the right way to make them feel like they're having the same level of success. And then hey, listen, all we do on the show is play fucking armchair speculation, fucking baseball or whatever the fuck. So like, I'm talking out of all three sides of my ass right now, right? So essentially, I don't know that this is the case, but part of me feels like there's no reason
YouTube numbers aren't
to
that
keep
insane,
fucking
by the way.
dropping more new songs unless you're really trying to have one hit in the way that makes you feel really good about the release of this album.
I don't know.
Also, Amen had a fucking Lil Uzi Vert feature, and even that doesn't feel like it quite did. Like, it wasn't. Like, that should be fucking anything anyone talked about for the rest of the year. It should have been fucking Bring Me's biggest song. And it should have felt the same way that, like, one of Bring Me's biggest songs right now is Ollie Sykes featuring on a Machine Gun Kelly song. Like, that has a bazillion fucking streams on it. And you got to feel like Bring Me's like, we're going to get Lil Uzi Vert on a song, and we're going to be doing the same fucking numbers that Machine Gun Kelly did when I came in and sang on that bitch. And they're not doing those numbers. And that has to be fucking annoying. Like, I just look at that and I'd be like fucking annoyed.
They're saving it for the album, Sam. You know what I mean?
What are we saying for the album at this point?
They're saving it for the album.
We've dropped every fucking song that's on the album.
Into post. Lest we forget the photo with Post Malone.
You said we still got like some real shit coming?
I'm telling you, we got the album's fully baked. Outside
it's not fully baked.
Outside
per the band.
Posty feature?
Official statement. This album is not fully baked. We're delaying it. This is some 90%
They got to work on
shit.
the art a little bit more. There's a Posty feature coming. I'm telling you, it's finally happening.
Then drop that fucking song because I didn't respectfully, I didn't need Dark Side.
Posthuman, no. I'm not done talking. 8 songs on Posthuman, 7 songs, and most of them were singles, right? I think at this point, the band is just not going to release 4 songs into the void, and we're going to only get 1 or 2 into the void, and the rest are previously heard singles. I think that you need to understand that.
Ice Nine Kills have released Meet and Greet, the finale of Welcome to Horrorwood.
Hello, Clarice. Nothing's free at this meet and greet. Quid pro quo as we go. Spirit beginning to
The 3LP deluxe of that album, titled Welcome to Horrorwood Under Fire, releases October 20th and will include 2 reimagined tracks as well as the entire album backed by an orchestra, in addition to
Fun.
Meet and Greet. The band also held a special event in the Montalban Theater in Hollywood, playing the entire 8 music video Horrorwood saga, as well as an interview with Spencer afterwards. And I think the author of like to catch a Spencer chance.
Done interview, or was it
No,
right?
it was
after?
live. It was live.
Really
It was like live
fun.
audience, live interview after they premiered the fucking film.
So Welcome to Horrorwood is over. Open and shut case, sort of.
It's done.
I didn't watch the full 7-hour video yet. It's a long one.
It's a time commitment.
It's like 2.5 hours.
We've seen it all. It just in bits and pieces.
Sorta. Couple of things here. Horrorwood, like Silver Scream 2 is over. Let's talk about it because we talked about it at the top of the show. Silver Scream 3.
Here's the thing. Here's what I was trying to like allude to at the top without saying it. Is that I would like Ice Nine Kills to essentially continue to commit to the gimmick. But I think that I'm a little maybe done with the whole silent killer. I would I would like whatever this third album is, even if it is a trilogy, to maybe introduce a new
Killer
lore plotline type thing to the videos, right?
Yeah, I don't need to run back specifically Welcome to Horrorwood, but the job's not done. We need Silver Scream 3. Like,
It's just
this band, like, this band is operating on their own terms. Clearly, they're investing a shit ton of money into music videos, like high production everything. I do not see why they cannot do what literally every single one of their fans are clamoring for and deliver unto us Silver Scream 3. I don't want it. I fucking need it.
everything we've done
That is the
led to this
culmination.
moment. Yes.
Like that is, it's begging for, like, you know, just going out on an absolute fucking bang, and the job's not done, Sam.
Job's
it
not
isn't.
done.
Think about all the movies, bro.
about all the
Alien.
films.
We haven't done Alien yet. What are we waiting for?
We've talked
Like,
about it a million
we
times,
need
but this
it.
band hasn't even begun to fuck with like modern cinema really in any sense, you
Yeah.
know,
And-
especially if we start to get outside of like the slasher genre.
Right. Even if we don't, like, we have a ton of like dumb fucking shit that would go crazy as an Ice Nine Kills song, whether it's super serious, whether it isn't. Like, you think of like fucking whole fucking Space fucking album, bro. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Alien, a ton of stupid shit you can be doing.
There's a lot of options, obviously. No one's disagreeing with you there.
We finally got another kind of no-brainer here, which was Meet and Greet, which is based off of what?
Silence of the Lambs.
Yes. Long time coming, it feels like, with this one.
Absolutely phenomenal fucking music video. So it kicks off just like the scene, the infamous scene from Silence of the Lambs, where Khalees has to walk into the mental institution and through the corridor of everyone who's been locked up for being insane, I guess. And as in the music video, as music video version of Clarice is walking through here, you see the band members playing their instruments all locked up in the most
Out of their
absurd
minds.
fashion. Yeah, just like absolutely committing 150% to the bit. It's incredible. Right before we finally get to Hannibal, Spencer Charnas.
We'll always appreciate, obviously, how committed to the bit Spencer is, but everyone else in Ice Nine Kills really up in their game, especially in this video, especially in that hallway scene.
We're gonna find out someday. Spencer Charnas is so committed to the bit, he does think he is a murderer.
Well, we were kind of joking about it off air, but like, there's a lot of like obviously remakes coming. Right now, if you go to their Spotify, A Grave Mistake is like their most played song at the moment with a shit ton of streams, and The Crow is coming out again next year. And I was joking, like, at that point, if that song doesn't somehow make the playlist, like, we didn't get Scream again. We got to be pissed about that one.
Well,
If we don't
technically,
get-
we did get like sort of Ice Nine Kills shout out, so there's like something
Spoiler
there.
alert. If we don't officially,
It's not a spoiler.
Yeah.
It is not
If
even
we-
close to a spoiler.
If we don't officially get A Grave Mistake or A Grave Mistake 2
Spencer Charnas
on-
is Ghostface.
on the next fucking Crow movie, Spencer's going to become an actual killer,
Right.
which could be part of the plan. And like, hey, Silver Scream 3, like, it's going to actually...
How'd you feel about the song overall?
I feel very similar to it, that I did the deluxe versions, the deluxe songs on the Silver Scream 1.
Which was what? Was it the Scream
Call
song?
my name, call your name, calling.
Call Me By Your Name. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Scream song. Where it was like, fuck, I love the IP that we're basing this off of.
Right.
Fun idea. Execution maybe not quite as,
I love the IP that we're basing. Didn't you literally say while we were watching this, I've never seen this movie?
but I want to.
Oh, okay. Well, I take it
I've
back.
always meant to.
Right, sure.
Like, I know all the, like, a lot of the
I
iconic
love this
stuff,
movie
like,
so much
puts
I
the
intend
lotion
to
on the
watch it.
skin.
The There's a moment in here. Where Spencer Charles does the. It
Before
fucking,
the
like,
breakdown.
It's like I should have seen it coming because this band always sort of fucking commits, like I said earlier, 150% to the bit. But like somehow I wasn't expecting it, and it fucking like it knocked me over. Like I fell out of my chair, down the stairs, and like into the driveway. It was insane.
But like for every moment like that, there's like another moment on this track that doesn't quite click as much.
It's just the song itself just feels a little choppy. Like it doesn't flow particularly well, but individually its moments are really strong,
And visually it's a lot of fun to watch too. So, you know, good overall. Really curious to see what's next.
I don't want to be disrespectful, but I will say personally, I am also kind of ready to move on from the full 15-minute film production that each music video is. I would really like a way to figure out how to tell a story within the more confined space. I would like an additional minute tagged on at the beginning and end of a music video, but like I don't know that I'm ever so involved in the story that like these 12 to 15 minute videos really click for me.
I disagree.
Okay.
Only because I think I'm ready for like the legitimate movie.
So you're saying if the production level hits a certain like standard, you which in theory, like as the band gets bigger and as everything, like the Welcome to Horrorwood video is fucking insane. For me, that one's like nearly perfect. But like I didn't need the trial at the end of it. You know what I mean? It was just
right, like stuff like that. Like I think at that point I'm just like less intrigued by the story. But like as far as like what are we gonna do with Silver Scream 3? Like, all right, well, if you guys just want to do like a legitimate movie, not like all these starts and stops and different songs, whatever, and like find a way to work in some of the music. Like, sure, I think music videos, I just want straight song maybe moving forward. Like you said, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, but like, I also just do not want them to stop making film, but I want them to actually do it.
right. You don't want
Like go fucking knock on the Blumhouse Productions doors. Go fucking track down Jordan Peele, get something done.
So I'm trying to pour water on their creative flame, but you want to pour gasoline on it.
I want to get like a little more wild with things.
I feel you. Marcus, we were talking about Jeris Johnson earlier. He actually dropped new single When the Darkness Comes.
When the darkness comes, then there's nowhere you can run. If the midnight strikes and you lose your only son. When the darkness comes, la 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 la, will you come undone? La 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 la.
Leading up to the new track, Jeris actually tweeted something else as well. Nobody strives for true greatness anymore in rock metal. Most bands just want to get a safe song on the radio and call it a day. I want to move mountains. I want to make the masses weep at the beauty of a guitar solo. I want the genre I love to dominate once again. I want greatness. Additionally, Jeris had this to say on the track. I've become obsessed with this idea of modernizing the super classic metal sound, the European metal festival shit with a dash of 808s to piss off the old heads. I want metal to be great. So I listened to the entire Black Album by Metallica and thought, what if I put my own spin on pretty much the best, most iconic shit there is? That's what When the Darkness Comes is.
I like a couple things here. I dislike a couple things here.
I feel like that's almost what Jeris Johnson is going for. He wants to piss you off a little bit, but he also wants you to go, all right, I kind of see where you're coming from.
No, so I guess yes, but no. So ultimately where I land
I think it's
is-
inevitable when you make bold statements like nobody strives for true greatness anymore in rock and metal.
So
You're going to push buttons.
fuck with the vision in general. Like I like the idea of going and trying to put your own spin on something that's already iconic.
Yeah.
The thing I sort of look at though is like the whole most bands just want to get a safe song on the radio, call it a day. I want to move mountains. Like that's a lot of great stuff to say, but you need to back it up. This song cannot flop is what I'm saying. Like you put yourself you out there like that. You need to back your shit up in a way that like the song is then massive. And if it isn't, like I look at that, I'm like, I don't know. Like and trust me, like I do love Jeris Johnson. That album last year was one of my favorite things I heard all year long.
Plus
So
that
like this
fucking,
whole
Rain in
future
Blood remix in particular was nuts.
this whole future of rock thing, I really do appreciate.
Right,
But
like you
now-
like the vision, right? You like where his
Yes.
head's at. You like even though he's going to go out here and he's going to push buttons a little bit, you like that he's just essentially like hyping himself up to the millionth degree.
And that's what I mean. It's like, yes, go out and push those buttons, but if you don't deliver, just know that there are consequences.
What are your thoughts on When the Darkness Comes?
It's a neat song. I don't know if it is my favorite track of the year type of thing. Like I don't hear this song and my world's turned upside down. But I think that for the most part, what we aim to deliver, this is that. This sounds like what we're talking about. Visually, I like the music video that accompanies it. I think the song is overall solid.
I kind of have this feeling about Jeris Johnson, and I don't want to overpraise because I also liked the song, but I don't necessarily feel that it was like staggeringly like fucking amazing.
My
by any
jaw
means.
wasn't on the floor.
But
I wasn't picking my jaw up off the floor.
I will say that I kind of fuck with everything Jeris sort of does like I don't think I've heard a song by Jeris Johnson where I didn't kind of enjoy just their delivery in general. Like I feel like Jeris kind of manages to put a twist on every track that he does and make it entertaining in some level. And I like what he did in terms of modernizing that super classic metal sound. Like I hear all of that in this track, right? I don't know that it's necessarily like one of the best songs I've heard all year, but I definitely fuck with the vision. And I feel like to some degree, he did get it right. Like he does get it right here, right? He takes a style that generally like, the Black Album by Metallica. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I've never fucking listened to it in my life.
I was gonna say, I hear like pretty much the best, most iconic shit there is. And I'm like, you mean Bring Me the Horizon? Like, what are you talking about?
Like,
Like,
talking about that first Galaxy?
Metallica. Ice Night Kills?
So right, like, but it's not like I don't have like a point of reference for like fucking European metal festival shit, right? Like I've heard bits and pieces. I can put it together. I
thought
know
it was
what you're
more
going
for like Aussie type stuff, but maybe I'm just not familiar enough with Aussie.
Aussie's not terribly far off from what that is as well, right? I just think overall, I think that I haven't heard anything really like this recently.
Yeah,
you know
and for
I mean?
that I do like it. Don't get me wrong.
And the video's a lot of fun too. Like we're totally living up to the vision, right? We're like playing in an old dark cathedral and there are bats everywhere. Like everything about it is meant to sort of like pull in the reference point for you. And I think generally it all works, but maybe I gotta spend a little more time with this song to see if it really fully clicks for me.
I think what I'm more intrigued by is what this ultimately gets attached to, because I sort of like the idea of taking the Black by Ask Alexandria, Black,
Right.
Like this Metallica album, and sort of just running with it for an entire project, as opposed to maybe just the one singular song. And I kind of hope that maybe that's what happens.
That's kind of the vibe I was getting, but I guess we'll see.
Like I would much prefer at least 5 or 6 songs of this type
nature. Yes.
Yeah, like on a single project, as opposed to maybe like a one and done here, which I can't quite gauge whether this is or not.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I think that for the most part, Jeris Johnson still remains one of the more exciting new artists in our scene. Whether they're in a band or not, whether they're just solo or not.
Every time like Jeris Johnson has a new song, it's just like I know this is going to be interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, credit to the artist. Like you said, every time they drop a new song, I mostly go out of my way to go hear it. That's saying something.
Yeah. Keith Buckley, the ex-vocalist of Every Time I Die, is returning with a new project called Many Eyes and their debut song, Revelation.
You ain't cool around here. You ain't cool around here. Look me in the eyes again. Look me in the eyes. I dare you.
The band has, as of yet, an unannounced full length on the way, which will be releasing on Jamie Josta's label, Josta's Perseverance Media Group. For those who don't know, Jamie Josta is the vocalist of Hatebreed and popular podcaster in their own right. Jamie Josta is credited with introducing Keith to Charlie and Nick Belmore, who flesh out the entirety of the project. Charlie and Nick bring a certain pedigree to this project. One group that they were both in was Corpse Grinder. Speaking to Brooklyn Vegan on the new record, Keith had this to say: I think that it is the most modern interpretation of an alternative rock record that anyone will be able to find. I mean, there's songs on it that come from our love of Radiohead. There's songs that come from our love of Stone Temple Pilots, Pavement, Nirvana, Alice in Chains. He also spoke lightly on Every Time I Die and how the ending felt poetic, but acknowledged that fans may still feel confused about its end. Many Eyes will be supporting Thursday on the War All the Time tour alongside rival schools. Marcos, so much to chew on.
Someone's got a pretty fucking loose interpretation of what poetic means, because that Every Time I Die breakup was less than poetic. It was anything but poetic.
It's catastrophic.
Yeah. No shit. We're still fucking confused, Sam. It feels like this was the result. Every Time I Die's breakup feels like the result of, like in a multiverse movie where they're like, you can go back in time, but you can't touch anything, or you will forever destroy the sacred timeline. And this was what happened. Someone did that, and we lost Every Time I Die. And now we're here with fucking Better Lovers and fucking A Billion Multiple Eyes.
Better Lovers, which features all the other ex-members of Every Time I Die.
And like, I don't know, I'm sitting here as a fucking Every Time I Die lifelong fan, and like, I'm still fucking bitter about how that whole thing went down. I'm definitely fucking confused still. No one owes me an explanation. I don't have to like that they're gone. I have to accept it. But like, I'm fucking confused. That was not poetic.
Jordan put out a statement just recently too that was sort of along the lines of just like, hey, there's no drama juice or anything to get into here. Like, the project just kind of like, it's over. It is what it is. Like, I don't know what to tell you guys. This is the last time I want to talk about it.
And ultimately where I land is like, I sort of prefer this to Better Lovers because I prefer Keith to the other guy.
It's crazy.
And then instrumentally, I fucking prefer Better Lovers to what I heard on this track.
You are so right. It is that frustrating thing where it's like, I enjoy this because I am so in love with Keith Buckley. I enjoy Better Lovers because, like, holy shit, are these musicians incredibly talented. But holy fuck, it is hard to recreate the magic that they had together. So I kind of have to just take what I'm given. And for all intents and purposes, I now enjoy both projects. I liked this debut song from Many Eyes. I like that Keith kind of sings a little bit in here, though I still prefer his sort of harsher vocal tone.
Yeah,
overall.
this is maybe more in the line of something like X Lives, like that record, right? A lot more singing on that project than
But
I don't even remember the
different than
Gratitude. What the fuck was
that had like sort of a grimy, grungy sort of like dusty delivery to it. At the very least, I didn't hear quite that in this song from Many Eyes, though. Based on the description of the album, it could be something that like
it looks like it's going to be all over the place,
right,
which is like
on here.
Interesting. It doesn't sound like we really want to retread too much of the ground that ETID had done or was doing.
Well, you don't want to set yourself up for direct comparison, right? Because then you just end up working like in and out of the shadow of the project that you're best known for, right?
Yeah. One thing I do want to say is like, obviously splintered from Every Time I Die are Better Lovers and Many Eyes.
Yeah.
Both of those fucking names suck in comparison to Every Time I Die. One of the greatest band names of all time. And now like, I think Better Lovers is probably better, but then like Many Eyes is like so fucking whatever. It's so boring, especially from like Keith Buckley of all people. It's just feels like such a boring name.
You got to think that there's like, and maybe this was in the interview and I didn't pick it up, but maybe there's like
many eyes on what this project is.
Incredible meaning behind, right? Like there could be, some context that we're not privy to because we didn't do enough research. Enterprise Earth have released their new song, King of Ruination, featuring Ben Dwyer of Shadow of Intent. Last story of the week. The band also announced new album Death, an anthology, releasing on February 2nd, and they are currently on tour, wrapping up soon. The Friday, I think you're listening to this, supporting Paleface Swiss alongside Victims, who we talked about earlier, and Crown Magnetar.
Good ass tour,
Strong ass lineup.
good ass song, good ass fucking album title.
Man, it feels like I've been waiting for this forever. Because I think we're at like 2 fucking years since
With the new guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Enterprise Earth, and they had like a couple songs, I think, and I just was like patiently waiting for them to like, all right, let's get the fucking ball rolling on this next shit, right? This feels like a proper kickoff. This to me feels like the kind of fucking song that you can proudly release as the fucking lead single for your next album. Like, this shit got me hyped.
Good feature to throw on top of it too for some extra eyes.
Hard to miss feature, to be fair.
Shadow and 10 fucking rules, Ben rules.
I thought the video for this at first was a little flat. So it's just sort of like the vocalist sort of like wrapped up in like plastic and it cuts to this, like, he looks like he's being like autopsied alive or some shit. They're cutting fucking pieces out of him. And I'm kind of like, all right, I like the fucking gruesome, nasty vibe. Like, we're doing the deathcore thing quite well. But at some point it turns into like a monster movie.
Quick pause. I just had like this vision of the guys in Fit for an Autopsy sitting around like their room. They just have like a wastebasket in the middle with a bunch of like scrunched up pieces of paper.
Yeah.
And in one of those is Autopsied Alive for potential band names.
You're right. Like, it just 7 words all fucking jumbled together until they found the right like combination of them. That's correct. But anyways, it turns into like this monster movie, and you get this like the fucking autopsy demon, which I was a really big fan of, to be honest with you. I like that as a character.
That was Death, bro.
That was Death. That was Death in anthology.
No, well, it was probably the King of Ruination.
How'd you feel about that album title? Because I feel really strongly about it.
It's pretty cool. Listen, when a deathcore band just comes out and proclaims that something they're doing is called death, like, goddamn, that's the stars lining up.
It's something about calling it an anthology, though, that sort of makes me like visualize this like song title names as like chapters and stuff, you know, like it's different stories and like some overall like deeper like context, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it just feels like a good umbrella way of like putting together a bunch of tracks.
You know what I'm liking?
What do you like?
February 2nd.
What do you like? What do you like? Do you like it because it's
not
not like
doing
December
any of this
10th or some
stupid
shit?
fucking December shit. Not doing January fucking 5th or some stupid shit like that.
Right.
You know?
If you're not Punk Goes Christmas, get the fuck out of December.
A real, just beautiful date on this one. February 2nd. Really looking forward to this one next year.
Hey, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the show. Leave us 5 stars on Apple or Spotify, or give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Have a good week. We love you.
Good fucking bleh.